Welcome to the Flower Lounge, a place for conversations with wildly creative people and a little plant-loving wisdom to help you experience life in full bloom. I'm Katie Hess, Flower Alchemist and founder of LOTUSWEI, and I believe in a world where we're all living at our personal edge. Welcome to the last episode of the Moonshine on the Flower Lounge podcast. I'm here with Kristina Wingeier. We are celebrating somewhere between 2 or 3 years of these regular monthly astrology episodes. And we're so happy to bring you the last Moonshine. Thank you so much, Kristina. That was a long haul.
It's been such a pleasure, Katie. It's been so much fun sharing this information with your community and weaving in the astrology with the LOTUSWEI magic. And
so fun.
I've met some wonderful people from your community, have come over and said hi and booked sessions, and it's just been so lovely. So I've really enjoyed it. But yes, we are in the last episode, and it's the last month of 2020. What a banner year. We enter the month on a Tuesday, and the night before, we had an eclipse. Okay, so Monday, the 30th of November, there was a full moon eclipse in Gemini. So we're really in a funny place when we enter into December because we're in eclipse season. We're on an eclipse axis now that is mutable signs instead of those cardinal signs we were working with for most of this podcast. Actually, we worked with the Cancer Capricorn eclipses. So moods might be funny or your energy might be low as we enter in because we really are just on the heels of a full moon eclipse. And on Tuesday, Mercury finally gets out of Scorpio. Mercury has been in Scorpio for a really long time, right? A couple of months because of the retrograde. So Mercury moves into Sagittarius, and Sagittarius is a mutable fire sign. And Mercury traditionally, this is not Mercury's favorite place because Sagittarius is a lot about big picture thinking, and Mercury is about details. Mercury is a detail-oriented, analytical planet, right? So there's like a lot of information, a lot of words, a lot of conversations, a lot of ideas. And so it can be hard for Mercury to get everything done that Mercury wants to do. So Mercury's journey through Sag will last until the 20th of the month. And I would expect that we're just going to have some interesting conversations, weird news, and just like a lot of buzzing, nervous system energy and things like that. And it'll be definitely more lively than Mercury in Scorpio. But again, Mercury is not well suited to the needs, or Mercury's needs aren't well suited in Sagittarius. So we'll see how that goes, but it'll be fun. I think we'll have fun conversations and people may be telling tall tales. Especially, Mercury is the news, right? Mercury is the megaphone in the news. So the news cycle will continue to spin. And then the next aspect of that first week of December is on Friday. And it is, I wrote in the notes, I wrote it incorrectly. It's a Mercury trine Chiron. Yeah, Mercury in Sag. Why do I have this? I'm sorry, I have a weird note written in my notes. Oh, that's a Saturday aspect. I see what happened. Okay. Sorry, Katie. So on the Friday the 4th, we have Mercury in Sag making a trine to Chiron in Aries. Okay, so that's fire energy. That's the mind. Chiron is a place where we can get very sensitive. So there may be some conversations and fired off responses based on kind of old stories and old pain, things like that, because Chiron in Aries can get a little angry, a little irritated and frustrated. So definitely some interesting entry into this month. And then it's Saturday the 5th when Venus in Scorpio trines Neptune. So Venus is the planet of love, of connection. Venus in Scorpio is really feeling some deep feelings about connecting, not connecting, all that we've gone through this year, being separated from people that we love, conflicts within the family systems and things like that we might be having. And trining Neptune, this is a very healing aspect, actually. Neptune in Pisces is kind of dissolves things. So it could dissolve, like it's a salty water bath, right? That could kind of dissolve and heal some old pain in the heart, but it can also bring that kind of rose-colored glasses. I'm only going to look at the pretty things. But with Venus and Scorpio, I think we're less likely to have that and more likely to have some emotional healing and some heart healing, and even like some creativity coming from that place of heartbreak. I don't know, I listen to podcasts, and I listened to this podcast called All Songs Considered on NPR. And I found a new album today that I think I haven't even listened to that much, but it's called How Beauty Holds the Hand of Sorrow. I don't know. And that title of that album, I feel like that is a little bit this aspect. Beauty holds the hand of sorrow, and the healing, right, that we can participate in if we choose to, or we can continue to choose to be in a lot of grief and pain. And it's a both and situation, right? As we learned at that full moon eclipse in Gemini earlier this week. So those are the big aspects for the first week of December.
Is there anything that you want to add, just like overall as a whole, of what eclipse season will feel like? Because things kicked off on that Monday, right? And this is something we'll experience for the next bit here.
Well, eclipse season is like about 40 days. Whenever there's a new or full moon in that time period, there's an eclipse. And eclipses are like new and full moons on steroids. They're just more intense. The eclipse itself in the end of November was a mild eclipse, but it's a full moon, so it's intense. And on this new axis with mutable signs, Sagittarius and Gemini, we are in a place of needing to adapt to new information, needing to adapt to information and knowledge as it's coming through, and kind of letting go of old ways of thinking, asking new questions, right? Getting curious about how we can bring up opposing forces together. That's Gemini energy in its highest form, is this kind of uniting the twins rather than having them be representing different perspectives. And we're really, again, these eclipses in Gemini and Sagittarius will be with us for most of 2021. And so we're just really need to be flexible. It's mutable energy. And if you're not comfortable with changing, there's cardinal energy, which likes to start things. There's fixed energy, which likes to support and solidify. And then there's mutable energy, which wants to change things. So people that don't have a lot of mutable energy or aren't comfortable with change may find this time to be very uncomfortable, as truths that they held to be true for many, many years, maybe their whole life, are proving to be untrue, right? So I think that's kind of the vibe, and it's the holiday season. December is actually a pretty intense month, astrologically speaking. We've got a very big aspect on solstice that we'll talk about that is setting a lot of cycles in place. So it's kind of a big month. Does that answer your question and make sense?
Yeah, totally.
So then week 2, on Wednesday, the 9th, we have that sun in Sagittarius now making a square to Neptune. So Venus just made a trine, right? Let's connect, let's heal, let's try to, work through some of this pain in a creative way and this loss. And then the sun square Neptune, this is a tough aspect. This is a square, right? And it's like Neptune, again, can make things really confusing. The sun wants clarity, right? The sun shines a bright light and wants to kind of get conscious and aware. And with this square to Neptune, things aren't what they seem, but that's kind of par for the course in eclipse season. This aspect is just really highlighting that. All mutable energy, right? This is mutable fire, Sagittarius, and mutable water. So it's that kind of balancing of these two different elements within ourselves as they change and bubble and shift, right? As our moods change, as our energy changes, as what we know changes. Again, like working, I think there's a lot of kind of coming up against disillusionment this year that's maybe highlighted by an aspect like this. On Thursday, the 10th, we have Venus making a sextile to Pluto in Capricorn, Venus in Scorpio. And Venus really over the next week or so is going to start making these sextiles to all of the planets in Capricorn. First Pluto, right? And then Jupiter, and then Saturn. So sextiles are a helping aspect. And I feel like what these helping aspects are doing, we've had so much breakdown in Capricorn. We've had so many endings, so many things are not the same. Structures, institutions that we thought were very solid. And so these little sextiles from Venus are opportunities to find silver linings, right? To look forward to what's being created from this place, again, of deep love, heartache, grief, all of that big mess of feelings in the heart, which Venus is representing for us, right? So there's that energy happening on this day, as well as the sun in Sagittarius making a trine to Mars in Aries. So Mars, we've been working with Mars for a little bit in Aries now, wouldn't you say? I guess Mars has been in Aries since was it August? No, earlier, May? Something, I should know this, June. June 27th. And we had that 2-month retrograde, right? And Mars is finally starting to pick up some speed. And so this trine between the sun and Mars feels very energizing, right? It's fire energy, it's trine, it may be a lot of energy. It might be an excess of heat. That's what I'm feeling right now. It also feels like it can be very vitalizing and enthusiastic, right? And finally with Mars direct, picking up speed, finally getting some energy to finish up a project, right? Do what you need to do. So there's that. And I think those two aspects together can, again, help to bring some energy and enlivening and healing from these deep, dark, underworld journeys that Pluto and Capricorn kind of represent sometimes, right? And then on that Friday, the 11th, the sun actually makes a conjunction to the South Node, opposite the North Node in Gemini, right? So these are the nodes, these are the places that when the sun is near a node, that's what creates eclipse season. And then new and full moons, when the sun is near a node, are eclipses. So the sun is just coming across the South Node, which is the place that we're letting go and losing. This is that kind of loss of truths or ideas or beliefs that we don't believe anymore. That's really being highlighted. And the sun is looking opposite at the North Node, which is what we're trying to grow and what we're trying to understand, new questions and new curiosity and creative questions and answers and responses and and thinking, things like that. So this week looks like a lot of emotional work, huh? And then on Sunday, Mercury squares Neptune. Everybody's squaring Neptune. It's a square Neptune party because Mercury's moved into Sagittarius. Mercury is moving very quickly. This is a very confusing aspect, right? Mercury, the mind, in a sign that not so doesn't get everything done because there's just so much to do. And then Neptune in Pisces, as we've spoken about, is a lot of dissolving of boundaries and confusion and creativity. And so, the best thing to come from a square is growth and new choices. And I think that this is a great day to get creative, musical, playful, to go outside and be in nature and not try to really kind of walk away from the problem and let yourself be influenced and come to a new understanding, not by trying to logic it out, because that's probably not going to work very well, or you're going to struggle with that, but really kind of break down some kind of barrier within your own mind. And I think getting away from the problem and thinking is sometimes helpful for that. Do you agree? Yeah. So, a bumpy week. I'm building up to, and it's a waning moon all this time because we have an eclipse the next day. So definitely energy's kind of strong. What about flower? Like, what kind of support can we give people? This might be a good time to share what you're up to this month, because, you know.
Yeah, so the blend that we recommend is Open Heart, and that came out recently, as you know. And that's for staying curious, which is great for Gemini season, right? Being curious, open, being able to be vulnerable and spacious and hold multiple realities, your own and other people's, and just staying open no matter what. Especially in this time of like so much divisiveness and polarity, it feels like one of the only solutions is just to sort of open. And then if you're in the Flower Revolution, or if you want to join the Flower Revolution, we're working with the Rain of Gold orchid, also known as Dancing Ladies.
That's fun.
It's super fun. And it's also one of its main descriptors is open-heartedness. It's about generosity of spirit. And oddly, because I choose these flowers 6 months in advance. I mean, as I was writing about it this month, I was like, God, this is so weird. It's actually when you feel this sort of craving for simple human affection, like smiles and laughs and warmth and facial expressions and caring. And so if you feel like you're in this sort of odd environment of mistrust or barriers or hardening of your heart or other people, or feeling like you have to be guarded or protective of yourself, this flower helps us really just, let go of those fears and not hold back, and just like feeling really joyful and open to possibilities, which is to me what sounds like what you're saying is, can we just stay open no matter how challenging things get? Can we stay open and curious and, trust in this like foundation of human connection?
That's beautiful. Well, I'll tell you, I like the smell of this beautiful Open Heart. It smells really good. What's in there?
Oh, what is in there? Tonka bean, bourbon rose, lemon.
Bourbon rose. Tell me, because it's a different kind of rose.
Yeah, Rosa Borbonia. It's kind of a rare, expensive rose, and it's super fruity.
Yeah,
It's a
it's very
fruity
fruity.
rose.
And cardamom.
Cardamom. Oh
I
my
love
God.
cardamom.
Me too.
Love cardamom. It's one of my favorite spices.
So we're just doing a poll here. Does it smell like cherry liquor to you, like it does to me, or does it smell like bananas?
Oh, more like cherry liquor than bananas. I don't think I'm gonna anoint and tell you if I smell any bananas.
It's super fruity, and some people smell bananas and some people smell cherries. So it's like one of those images where it's like, are the sneakers blue or white? And people see different things.
God, of course, now I'm like looking for banana. I feel like the top note for me is a cherry, but if I really sniff into it, I feel like I can smell a banana in there. So it's definitely fruity. And it, like that feels like a dancing lady. I don't know. Very like fruity is kind of like one of those words that we can use to be like so silly. Like, I don't know. It can be used in a lot of ways, but like
That's where the richness of the liquor comes in. Gives it like a dark edge.
it's got a boozy edge. I was gonna say. I don't know. Have you ever smelled the scent Davana?
Oh yeah, Devana's great.
I don't know. It smells different on everyone, and it smells like boozy fruit on me, but it smells like different on other people. It's a trippy smell. Anyway, boozy fruit. Just what you need for eclipse season. Cordials. Well, I think those sound perfect. And I think that was really the reason we started doing these podcasts. I was like, how are you picking these plants that are completely in line with the astrology, and this, especially 6 months ahead? And that is because, that information, the cycles and the energy, it's all floating around all the time, and we can really tune into it. So that was really kind of what led us into this podcasting. So that's kind of cool that you were thinking about that when you were writing about it today, or whenever you were writing.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right. So now we're in the middle of the month. We've got our rain of gold, or we've got our open heart to help us. And on Monday, Moon Day, we have a new moon, total solar eclipse. Total solar eclipse, people. This is a big eclipse. Now, It is not going to be visible where I live. Let me just tell you where it will be visible, because it will be visible in some places. It will be visible in the Pacific, that's pretty vague, South America, and Antarctica. Interesting. Chile, Argentina, and some of the Atlantic. So you can always Google online and find lots of really cool images watching how the eclipse path is, because eclipses do travel, especially solar ones, in these really interesting bands. You can just watch them move. So those areas of the world will be feeling the impact of the phenomena more than anywhere else, okay? And so we'll probably have, a stronger effect on events in those areas. However, it's a total solar eclipse. It's big energy. It's a new moon that is, the new moon already is when the sun and the moon are conjunct, right? And usually you can't see the moon in a sun-moon conjunction at a new moon because the sun is so bright. But during eclipse season, the moon, the unconscious, the feelings, the emotions, the mystery covers the conscious sun, right? So it kind of, the sun goes dark and then is reborn. So it's a kind of rebooting of our minds in a sense, I think. Let's look at this chart. So this eclipse chart, it is at 23 degrees of Sagittarius. This is where the eclipse is happening. This is pretty close to a point in our cosmos called the galactic center, which is the theorized supermassive black hole at the center of our Milky Way galaxy. So we're kind of lining up with this kind of like center of this entire spiral galaxy. That's pretty interesting. Information coming through, right? And Mercury is very close to the sun and moon in this eclipse. So there is a way that our minds, right? We got Mercury and the sun being covered by the moon. So there's a way that our thinking and our visioning and our understanding of what unity means, because Sagittarius is such a big picture, unified, visionary kind of thinker, is being covered and revealed. And again, this is a south node eclipse. And so we're letting go of things that are preventing us from having a new vision, right? Because 2021, basically, we're in this place of the old is dissolving, but we have no idea what the new is going to be. And we're standing in between these worlds. It's such a trippy moment. And we all have to create the new together. And we need new ways of understanding the big picture. It's just, we're in a time of great change. So this eclipse is very powerful. The ruler of the eclipse is Jupiter, and Jupiter is sandwiched in between Pluto and Saturn in Capricorn. Not such a happy place, right? So there is this way that, again, with the South Node eclipse, it may feel more like what we don't have, what we're losing, what we, this kind of letting go, and we don't have this anymore, and I wish it was some way different. But it's really, we need to reboot our minds as a collective, right? In order to try to have a more hopeful, which is one of Jupiter's words, future, that we can rebuild something of long-lasting value and vision. So it's a pretty powerful eclipse. It's definitely trine a Mars-Eris conjunction. These are brother and sisters in war. So there may be some in heated, energy. It's getting near it's the holiday season. People get intense. And so, I don't know, I just got the phrase them's fighting words. You know what I mean? I could just see, it'd be so easy to say something and get into a fight, and really just, we need new ways of thinking and communicating. I think that's one of the very strongest things I could say about this eclipse.
Can I ask you a quick question? There's a theme I've been seeing among the people around me just recently, and maybe this is going back into astrology. Maybe this is making more sense for November, but I wondered if the eclipses would help us sort of break free from some of these patterns where people including myself and people around me, are going through different versions for themselves of what does it mean to be free and what does it mean to not be free. Freedom and not freedom, and how do you get freedom through boundaries? Is this like...
That makes sense. I love that because Jupiter is boundaried, right? The ruler of this lunation, sun and moon, is boundaried by two pretty bad planets that don't give a lot of presents, that give more challenges. And definitely Sagittarius energy, it's very expansive. It wants to grow. It wants to travel. It wants to expand. It wants freedom. Fire wants freedom. Fire likes to move, right? Fire, you have to work hard to contain a fire because if it, jumps out, it will just keep moving. So yes, I think that's absolutely true. And what's really interesting, and we'll get into this soon, is that at the end of this week is when, or the beginning of next week, but this Jupiter-Saturn conjunction where Jupiter and Saturn are both changing signs this week. They're moving into Aquarius. Aquarius is also a free thinker, right? Aquarius is another type of visionary. It's like new technology, new ways of communicating, new science, things like that. So I think that what you're seeing, those patterns, absolutely, this may very much highlight that. I think that's quite astute, my friend.
And will it ease?
We're going to wait to talk about 2021 till the end of the show.
Okay, never mind.
I wouldn't say that 2021 is the year of ease, no, but it's a different...
Hunker down. Hunker down and open up.
Listen, we're just like these first few years, really until the middle of this decade, it's major. It's major. We've been preparing for this for a long time, even though we think we haven't been. Well, everybody used to just talk about like, oh, things need to change, things need to collapse, things are, corrupt. And it's like now that everything's doing it, we're like, wait, what's happening? I want the old way. It's like, you probably really don't. We need something new, right? So it's trial by fire with this eclipse. So that's on a Monday. That's how we're going to start our week. But really, eclipse season is kind of all month long with this. It's a peak point, and the new moon it's a dark moon. It's a low energy time, right? So really, take care of your fire, right? Your creative fire, your energy, get enough movement, get enough rest, It's going to be easy to overextend. That happens this time of year anyway. So really note, I think that there's so much fatigue this year. There's so much exhaustion, and this kind of, how like when like toddlers are like tired and wired, they're like so cranky, they need to sleep so badly, but they just resist because they don't want to miss out on anything. It's just that their circuits are broken. Like it just feels like that's kind of the energy that we could be feeling around this new moon. Like we're so tired, but we're so wired. So, it's within each of our agency to use energy as we choose. We have more choice in our personal lives and how we run our energy than we give ourselves credit for having, I think. And I'm not perfect. And like you, I see those kinds of patterns in me as well. So, alrighty. Some of the aspects that are happening inside of this new moon that I just kind of talked about would be Venus is making that sextile to Jupiter. Now, these are the two benefics. And they're saying, keep hope alive. Keep hope alive, right? Venus in Scorpio, Jupiter in Capricorn. But it feels a little muted because it's Venus in a sign that she's kind of heavy in, and it's Jupiter in a sign that he's feeling heavy in. So there's this, how are we going to make the best out of what we have, right? Look for where things are working, right? So the benefics bring hope and connection. That's those two planets. We love Venus and Jupiter because they're fun, but Saturn and Mars they teach us a lot of lessons, and they're important too. There's also, speaking of Mars, a Mercury-Mars trine that is happening on this day as well. So that is definitely going to fuel anger, and it can really fuel some pretty nasty conversations if people aren't careful. Like this could happen, you know what I mean? So check yourself. Tuesday, the 15th, Venus makes her last sextile to planets in Capricorn, making a sextile to Saturn. So this really is like, okay, what can we create? What can we build? What can we bring into form, right? From this place of maybe emptiness and darkness, dark moon, right? We're coming out of this, right? The light always returns. We, the tide shifts. What's valuable, right? What has deep value? What feels, what do you want to take with you? It's like, you got 5 minutes to pack. What are you going to take? You're going to take things that are most valuable to start your new life, right? And Venus also moves into Sagittarius on this day. So that's a big shift in energy. So after that connection with Saturn and a trine by the moon with Uranus, I don't talk about lunar aspects because it would be too much, but there's that's happening too. Then she moves into Sagittarius, where she's much more lively. In fact, I would say Venus is a dancing lady in Sagittarius. Very lively, very spicy. So like this kind of aspect with Saturn and then a shift into Sag. Oh yeah, okay, we can make this work. Let's dance, let's have fun, right? Let's play. But again, it's a lot of fire. So play nice? I don't know. Not always easy. And Chiron turns direct on the same day. So maybe, right, we're done wallowing in that old story and we've done a lot of investigating of that wound and the places we've been wronged, and we can move forward and heal, right? Chiron is that both and of wound and healer. So again, we have the choice of how we perceive our pain, not how we feel it, but how we think about it. Those are two different things. So Wednesday, big day, Saturn moves back into Aquarius. I say back into Aquarius because Saturn took a little journey into Aquarius earlier this year. Now, I'm trying to find when it was. I should know. It was March. Yes. March 21st. Interesting. That would be solstice. Saturn went into Aquarius for a few months, went back into Capricorn I should know this. I'm looking. Why am I looking up? I'm looking at a sign. I'm looking at a chart up here. Sorry, y'all. I can't find it. It was a brief moment. It was a couple of months. I don't have the exact date. I'm embarrassed, but what are you going to do? Just going to let it go. Okay, so Saturn took a brief journey in Aquarius earlier this year. Now Saturn is in Aquarius to stay for the next couple of years. Saturn cycles are about 3 years.
Oh, yeah, I think I remember you saying that was going to give us a preview.
It was a preview. So think back. So it was March 21st. Let me just find it. Let's just find it. Until...
That was kind of when things got really rough here.
Talk about it, girl.
Yeah. Interesting.
Talk about that, yeah. So, but I mean, yeah, I'm sorry, I should have had this date.
Oh gosh, don't worry about it. Take your time.
So yeah, March 21st, and then Saturn went all the way to almost 2 degrees of Aquarius, and then turned retrograde in May, and then went back into Capricorn in July, beginning of July. Yeah. Okay.
So from the end of March through May was our preview. Is that right?
End of March through July.
Through July. Wow.
Saturn went back into Capricorn.
Oh, right, because it retrograded.
July. That's right. It's right in front of me. I don't know why I'm ignoring it. I'm like looking at it. Okay. So we had... Oh, no. Have a week or two in March, all of April, all of May, all of June, and then July, in eclipse season, mind you, because we had an eclipse on the 4th of July, I remember that. Saturn went back into Capricorn to finish up. So those few months were a preview both on the collective and the individual level of some of Saturn's work, because Saturn is about work and growth, right? Saturn is about building new structures. Saturn is happy in Aquarius. It is one of the signs that Saturn rules. Capricorn is Saturn's night sign. And in traditional astrology, we get very, very nuanced. And this is Saturn's day sign. And Saturn in traditional astrology is a day planet. It likes to be in the daytime in the charts. So this is a good placement for Saturn, actually. It's very productive and more forward thinking, because Capricorn is like the old built up structures. Aquarius is the new vision, the new technology, the new science. I mean, not everybody's going to be happy with the results, okay? But Saturn is now in Aquarius for a couple of years. And this is important in your personal chart because this area is under new growth and develop and mastery. This is a key word for Saturn, mastery.
I have a lot of curiosity around what that preview could have been like during a time when most people were freaking out about a virus. You know what I mean? Like, is there something that we could say, like, how do you interpret that, the preview part?
We got more comfortable with technology. Work changed a lot. People got to work from home and didn't have to go to their jobs, which was, not good for everyone, but good for some. I would say, especially for folks who are disabled and have a hard time getting to work. Like I have a friend who is disabled and was like, and this may not be the correct language to use, and I apologize. Differently abled might be the proper way to describe folks who are, have not as much agility and ability as somebody who's walking around. Trying to say the right thing, probably saying the wrong thing. But in any event, I have a friend who's in a wheelchair and who's like, finally, we get our needs met, right? We don't have to go and get around in a world that's not made for my wheelchair. I can work from home. Right?
Nice. Yeah.
So there's more freedom
Brilliant.
for somebody who maybe seems like they don't have as much freedom in the old world, right? Where it's hard to get around in a wheelchair. That's one example. So there's, the new technology. We're getting more comfortable with technology. We have new ways of connecting. Everybody's on Zoom now, which, Zoom fatigue is real, but, like I had my mother-in-law, okay, I need you to help me with Zoom. How does this thing work? I got to start Zooming with the family, so there were new ways of connecting with people. That's one thing. Definitely the science and the virus. Listen, from perspective that I am not super studied in, and I don't want to speak a lot to it, but we are definitely in this process of dealing with pandemics and a pandemic and this kind of like news technology around how to work with the fact that we're so connected and things can spread. And so that's just part of what's happening in the Aquarian age. Okay. Also, I would say social justice movements were very big in that time because of the end of May with George Floyd, with a big protest and all kinds of things that were happening end of May into June, right? So that's another thing that happened while Saturn was in Aquarius. These are some of the big things that happened. Anything else that you can think of?
No, I think that's brilliant.
Yeah. So we are, this term is problematic, and it can mean a lot of things, but I don't mean it in any particular way. It's, a new world structure. We have to restructure the world into the 21st century. We're not in the 20th century anymore. We're moving into this age of Aquarius. It's happening. And so Aquarius, again, air sign, connections, technology, innovation, forward thinking, futuristic thinking. That is what is coming. Does that make sense? Yeah. Okay. So let me get back to this thing.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's good. Where are we at? Here we go, Wednesday. So Saturn entering Aquarius. The same day, the moon enters Aquarius, and the moon is conjunct Saturn. So we'll have a lot of feelings about it all. I have a lot of feelings. But we'll be distanced from them because it's an Aquarius. I'm not really feeling anything, but boy, I'm feeling a lot. My feelings. Let me put my feelings in a box. No, I'm kidding. Let me put my feelings in the other room and think about them. And no, I live with an Aquarius. I love Aquariuses. Okay. Everybody has Aquarius somewhere. Okay. Then on Saturday, the 19th, Jupiter enters Aquarius. Okay. So this is a big deal because this is setting us up for this major conjunction happening between these two. And this is several cycles are beginning at this time. So we've got a new Saturn cycle officially, even though Saturn did a preview. Now Saturn is there to stay for a couple of years. Jupiter When Jupiter changes signs every 12 or 13 months, it's a shift, right? It's a big shift in growth and expansion and opportunity. So Jupiter entering Aquarius, much happier than Capricorn. Okay, Jupiter's functions well in Aquarius. So this is like maybe some hope, right? Some faith that things can change, that we can find answers and solutions, that we can work on this as a collective, as a global community, because that's what we are now, whether or not we like it. We're all connected. So Jupiter entering Aquarius is a big deal. Jupiter is going to do something tricky next year, but we'll talk about that at the end. So that's happening on Saturday. Again, all the things that I said about Aquarius just put Jupiter, Saturn wants to build and Jupiter wants to grow. So this area of your chart and in the collective is going to be building and growing. This is that new thing we're building while the old thing is collapsing, that we don't know what it is, but we got to build it anyway, right? And then on that same day, Venus in Sag makes a trine to Chiron, and there's a Sun, Mercury, Cazimi conjunction in Sagittarius. So it's a pretty big day with aspects. Again, Venus trine Chiron, that can be some healing, right? Chiron's direct now. Venus is spicy. Let's bring it forward. Let's bring it into the present moment and move forward. Sun, Mercury, this is a conjunction where the Mercury is kind of getting a reboot with the Sun in Sagittarius. Again, with that eclipse earlier this week, with all that we've been talking about. And this conjunction with Mercury is what's called a superior Cazimi, which means it's on the other side of the Sun. So these are new ideas coming in that we can't see from the inside. We can't see from looking at the past, right? This year was a lot about, I feel like, the collapsing and the like, okay, what's valuable? What do we take forward with us? But now we have to look to the future, right? The new. So that's what it feels like to me. And then on Sunday, Mercury then moves into Capricorn. So the mind gets very practical, pragmatic, okay, long-term vision, details, right? Details and analysis and organization and like the willingness to stay the course. If the mind was feeling wild and free and kooky and Sag, now it's like, okay, let's get down to business. It's a good time for practical matters, anything to do with writing, speaking, communicating, thinking. Heavy, maybe a little melancholy. Capricorn is not, it's just a little heavy over there. It's been a little heavy in Capricorn for a while. All right. And then week 4, on Monday the 21st, this is solstice, right? The sun enters Capricorn. So we have a whole new season. It's winter in the northern hemisphere, summer in the southern. It's a time of, it's interesting that it's a holiday time and the solstice, it's traditions. Capricorn is very into traditions. And so we are definitely, with Jupiter and Saturn and Aquarius and this conjunction today, we're creating new traditions, right, that we want to last. So Capricorn season happens once a year. The sun will be moving through your Capricorn chart, down to business and hardworking and ambitious, actually. So that's an influence. But the big thing on this day, I don't mean to overshadow poor sun, really is this Jupiter-Saturn conjunction in Aquarius. Because what happens is these two, when they come together, it's called the Great Conjunction. They don't come together but every 20 years. And they come together kind of like clockwork every 20 years, right? And they come together for a period of over 200 years. Every 20 years when they come together, they're in the same element. So for the last 200 or so years, they've been coming together in earth signs, earth signs, earth signs. Resources, working from home, taking resources from the earth, like land acquisition, building empires and institutions, right? These are the social planets, Jupiter and Saturn, in Earth for over 200 years. Like, what's happened in the last 200 years, right? The Industrial Revolution, right? That's in that time frame, I think. Earth, that seems like earthy. And now they're starting to connect in air signs. And they did this in the 80s in Libra. Boop, had a little air connection. But for the most part, it's been earth, earth, earth. So we're moving from earth to air for the next 200 some years. these conjunctions between these planets, these social planets, will be in air signs. And starting in Aquarius, everything that I've said about Aquarius is being activated by this conjunction. So it's a new Jupiter cycle just got set, a new Saturn cycle, a 20-year cycle, and a 200-year cycle. So some of the changes that we see right away at the end of the year, moving into next year, are going to be like what we're going to see in the next 20 years, perhaps. But there's also stuff that we won't see that's being set into place now, right? Because this is a very long cycle. And there's, again, a lot more about technology, communication, collective visioning, building new ideas, right? With this Aquarius energy. And on solstice, it's already a pretty big day with the sun moving into Capricorn. That's a very powerful chart to cast and look at. In the sky, please watch them. They're going to be so close because they're actually close in what's called declination. So sometimes when planets are conjunct, they're like lined up, but they're on top of each other, like top and one's down here, but they're going to be like right near each other. And so it's going to be very cool to see these two planets together in the sky. So it's a big deal. It's going to be around. It's a big marker, and it makes this month very important in 2020. We started the year with the Pluto-Saturn conjunction. Now we're here at the end of the year with this Jupiter-Saturn conjunction. Pluto-Saturn, different vibe than Jupiter-Saturn, right? Pluto's an old god, lord of the underworld. Jupiter is a new god in Greek mythology.
Pluto feels like the crash and burn, and Jupiter feels like there's a little bit of light afterwards, right?
Right? And I mean, like in astrology, this would be father and son. I mean, mythology. And Jupiter did cut off his father's balls in order to overturn and take over. So, I mean, it's just, that's a story, but like, it's just interesting, right? The mythology around Jupiter and Saturn, but Saturn's happy in Aquarius, Jupiter is under Saturn's directive, and Jupiter is happier in Aquarius than in Capricorn. So I think things are turning, even though it's not resolved. Next year is not a year of resolution, but there's more hope for, okay, let's move forward. How do we make this thing work? What do we need to do? Then kind of like, the sky is falling, which is like then 2020, right?
Right. Right.
The sky fell. Now we have to make a new sky. I don't know. Any thoughts on that or questions or anything?
Yeah, no, I mean, it sounds totally right on. It's like we just have to cut away the old stuff that doesn't work and come out a fresh, new, reborn something.
Don't we wish it was that easy? Done and done. Okay.
Now can I travel again? No.
I mean, people are traveling, but maybe people aren't traveling where they want to go. Some people aren't traveling. Some people are traveling. I don't know. But anyway. All right. So Wednesday the 23rd. I'm going slow, everybody. It's our last podcast. We're moving slowly. Let's see. The 23rd, Wednesday.
Stretch it out.
Mars in Aries is making another square to Pluto. Mars made a couple of these squares earlier this year. And Mercury in Capricorn is also squaring Chiron in Aries. So this is square day. Let's just go square dancing. I mean, dancing ladies. Wouldn't that be fun? Did you square dance when you were young? Like, did you have to do it in school?
Oh, yeah, for sure. In the gymnasium.
I was like embarrassed about loving it, but I kind of love it. It
is fun. I mean, it is fun.
It's fun. I don't know, but it felt like wrong to want to do. I don't know why. I think people, kids are like, I think I square dancing. I don't know.
Anyway. It's so much more joyful than like trying to kill each other by throwing hard rubber balls at each other across the room.
It's true. More joy in dancing than many sports for those who don't like to beat on each other. Okay. So this is a day of some conflict, okay? Some struggle. Power struggle, Mars and Pluto square, and cardinal signs. Oh, it's all in cardinal signs. I want my way, right? Mercury with Chiron. Oh, I can't, I'm not getting what I want. How am I feel really bad about, I don't know. This is just a bumpy day. It's a bumpy day and a bumpy month. So put on your padding.
Your goggles and your helmet.
Stay home. No, just like Whatever challenges come up, use them to do something different. A square, the best thing you can do with a square is try to do something different. Because if you're going to keep doing the same thing, you're just going to see pounding your head on the same dang wall, right? And the next day, Mercury makes a trine to Uranus, right? So this is like, from that place of like, I'm so struggling. I'm free. I got a new idea, right? There's, a new idea. This is out of the box thinking. And quite frankly, again, get away from your mind, get into your body. This is all earth signs, right? And see what arises from there. Get out into nature, Taurus. Go sit in the garden and let the bees and the birds bring you a message. I mean, not everybody has access to a garden, I know, but we need new solutions. And then on the 25th, we've got the Sun Square Chiron. I guess Santa is not bringing everybody the presents they want this year. I'm sorry. Listen, you gotta laugh at this year, because if you're not laughing at some of it, I don't know. It's funny. This year isn't funny, but like gallows humor, baby, gallows humor. Yeah, you may find coal in your stocking. You
didn't get the Snoopy snow cone maker.
You might be going on some crazy online shopping spree the next day when Sun's trine Uranus, or I guess on Sunday. But yeah, it's bumpy, right? Sun enters Capricorn. We got the conjunction. We've got these squares all week long. Then this crazy trines trying to give us some new ideas. And it's with Uranus, it's always the unexpected. So maybe Santa brought you something really unusual, but you're like, I don't know what to do with this. Who knows? And maybe Santa, you don't even work with Santa. So, sorry if you're not a Santa person, but it was on Christmas. I had to say it.
Doesn't exist, Kristina.
What?
Santa doesn't exist.
Oh, who told you that? You know what I used to tell my daughter when she was little?
What was that?
I said Santa was a woman in drag. Because it was me.
Of course it was you.
Of course Santa's a woman wearing a beard. She was like, okay, Mom, nobody else is telling me this story, but whatever you say. And then when she finally found out, the trifecta, Easter Bunny, Tooth Fairy, and Santa, she was like, oh my God, oh, it's you. Oh. I'm like,
oh, now it all makes sense why it was a woman.
99% of the time, I bet you it's a woman who's doing that shopping. But I might be throwing men under the bus, and it's not my intention. I'm just getting punchy. Let's wrap this year up. Turning the page to the last week of 2020. Drum roll. We got a full moon on Tuesday in Cancer. Let's look at the chart. So, Cancer and Capricorn, it's been pretty heavy energy for some time. But now when I look at this chart, I see that Saturn and Jupiter are no longer in Capricorn. In fact, it's Pluto, be there for a while, the Sun, that's fine, and Mercury. Mercury, again, quite close to the Sun, but starting to move away, still not visible, so still not a lot of clarity in thinking, but some new ideas are building, I would say. This full moon, 8 degrees, Cancer, this is an area of your chart where you feel tender and protective, where you long for emotional and communication and connection, where when your feelings are hurt, you retreat into your little crab shell and get cranky. So it's the end of the year. It's a full moon. It's not an eclipse, but there's been a lot going on. Take care of yourself. Nurture. Notice how many bars of chocolate you eat. I don't know. It's really calling for comforts, finding comforts, simple comforts and connection. There's a square. There's kind of a T-square to Chiron. So again, I just feel like there is, a lot of times with New Year's, as we end the year, people are pretty elated and they're very excited. I mean, I was thinking about last year and how that hashtag 2020 vision was kind of trending, we're going to get so clear, it's 2020 vision, it was just like, we were so excited for 2020, right?
Oh, that's funny.
But now, in hindsight, right, what is 2020 vision? What does it mean now, right? What are you visioning into in 2021? What have you learned? What do you see clearly? That's what 2020 means, right? This is going to bring up some feelings around all of that. It's been a big month. astrologically, this Chiron's kind of T-square with the sun and the moon. And again, Chiron is direct now. So we want to move forward. We don't want to stay stuck in our anger and our pain and our childhood wounds. We need to acknowledge them, right? Our little children come up and they get on the bus and they drive sometimes, and it's a little kind of crazy. Their feet don't reach the pedals very well, but somehow they make it go. But like, we want to acknowledge our child self, but not let them kind of take over. And this is a little tension in this chart. But again, we've worked through way more in the Capricorn Cancer axis this year. So it's just a full moon in Cancer. Take care of your emotional needs. Nurture yourself. Okay? Let's see, we're almost done. The 30th, we've got Venus in Sag. Guess what? Making a square to Neptune. So earlier in the month, she made a trine to Neptune. Now she's making a square. So she's like, 2020,
It's the perfect way to leave the year. Smashing, banging.
Right?
It's just sort of,
what's real? What's not real? What do I value? What can I feel? Blah, blah, blah. So that's kind of like the last major aspect. But what I will say, on the 31st, the moon enters Leo. Okay, the moon, this is fixed energy, fixed fire. And really, the big thing on the menu for 2021, kind of the big aspect that's playing out all year long, is this square between Saturn in Aquarius and Uranus in Taurus, fixed energy. So I think it's very curious that this moon, waning moon, is entering Leo, because how you feel this day, every time the moon is in Leo in 2021, you might have a little shockwave from this or something. Because when the moon goes into Leo all year long, at some point it will be in a T-square with this very tightly orbed situation between Saturn trying to build new visions, right? New things, new ideas. Uranus and Taurus, same kind of shaking things up, but we're working with fixed signs, and fixed signs are the hardest signs to change, right? So there's a lot of instability as we continue to try to sort things out between the mind and the body, between technology and the earth, right? Feeding, I just think there's going to be wacky science around food happening, probably. This is like one of the defining aspects of 2021 with, let's see, 3 exact squares and those dates that we can give you because you might like them. Hold on, I got so many ephemerises going on here. The dates that those squares are exact will be... There's the ephemeris. Here it is. February 17th, 2021, June 14th, 2021, and December 24th, 2021. So the reason that they keep squaring each other is because all the planets have those retrograde cycles. So this is like a year of like shaking up fixed things, right? It's like this year, 2020, was very, again, the sky is falling, everything's falling apart. So now it's like we're trying to build new structures, but we're still on shaky ground, right? It doesn't seem like a year where there's going to be like, okay, it's tidy, we're going to tie that little bow and, okay, we fixed it all. It's like, how do we do this? How do we make it happen? Oh, that didn't work. This doesn't work. Okay, this works, but oh, it's hard. Kind of like that in the collective. And then in your own life, those two areas in your natal chart, boom, they're at some kind of tension, right? So this is about the kind of end of an era and the creation of a new one. That's what it's ultimately about. And fixed signs, not to change, not mutable. But then most of the eclipses are immutable signs, right? Because the eclipses throughout the year, next year, we'll have 4 eclipses, and 3 of them will be in mutable signs. The one in November will be a lunar eclipse in Taurus. So we'll have 1 eclipse in fixed signs, and then the nodes will shift in 2022 and will be in fixed energy with eclipses. So we're shifting from all this cardinal energy to fixed energy with this mutable eclipses, thrown in to help us make the change, right? Because mutable signs want to change, want to adapt. So that's kind of like a big, broad brushstroke. The other thing I would say about 2021 is Jupiter moves through 2 signs this year, which is kind of unusual. Jupiter usually just sticks in one sign for the 12, 13 months, but I guess Jupiter must be moving pretty quickly because Jupiter pops on into Pisces, which I know, right? That's kind of cool. It's also a sign that Jupiter very much likes. It's the sign that Jupiter rules. Okay? So this is really, and it's happening, I have the date. So ill prepared for this episode, my friends. What can I say?
No, it's great. You've got to write it all at your fingertips.
Slow fingertips. Mm-hmm. It's in May. And through, I believe,
That it moves into Pisces?
Yeah, hold on. Sorry, everyone. This is me. You're seeing Kristina at her finest fumble. But you know what? I'm a nimble fumbler because I'm a Gemini, so I will fumble nimbly. And here we go. Okay. My friends, Jupiter, where are you? Okay. Jupiter moves into Pisces on May 14th. Jupiter is the ruler of Pisces. This is healing, right?
Yeah.
Creative healing solutions. Jupiter is very happy in Pisces. Very, very happy. And will have a lot of freedom. Speaking of freedom, right? Jupiter expands things, make the healing vibe bigger. Now listen, Pisces.
So the travel quarantine's lifting. Mid-2021. Come on.
I wouldn't predict that, but I would say that Pisces doesn't like boundaries. So we might be having a lot of feelings about quarantine-ing, if we're still quarantine-ing. But in any event, it's definitely a more hopeful time for Jupiter. Jupiter will get to 2 degrees of Pisces before it goes retrograde in June, and then moves back into Aquarius at the end of July. So we have a couple of months where Jupiter's going to make a little preview for like the next Jupiter cycle. So that's pretty cool. That's very unique. Jupiter is much happier this year in general than it has been in 2020. So that's a nice thing. And then we'll have the usual Mercury retrogrades, right? We'll have 3 Mercury retrogrades. Do you want those dates? I don't know what you want for the year.
Yeah, but can we go backwards just one quick sec? Remember how you were saying the big thing on the menu is the square between Saturn and Aquarius and Uranus and Taurus? Mm-hmm. Would you look to your own chart at Aquarius and Taurus to see how that's individually going to affect you?
I would. 100%. Especially, I mean, just even knowing those life areas that might be wanting to be restructuring and you might be resisting alone can be helpful, right? There's a natural square in your chart, but especially if you have any planets, but even if you don't, yes, those 2 life areas want to change. And these squares are asking you to let the fixed energy change, to make something new, right? So yeah, definitely. Because, I mean, the collective is great, but don't you want to know how astrology works for you? I know, I do. Yeah, I actually have a new offering for 2021 where I'm doing like super high touch, bespoke, like you get a weekly little report from me every week about your chart. Yeah, it's called Cosmic Coaching. It's pretty cool because astrology, like we get these big picture and what's happening on the collective, but everything's happening in your chart. And specifically in different ways for you, depending on how your houses are lined up and what planets are where. And so we can sit here and just think about all this big energy and wow, but you can actually understand it and apply it to making changes in your life and knowing like the time periods where these changes are being asked of you, and you can bring more intention and attention to what you're doing because you know, oh, it's this period of time where this is happening. So
I love that. It's a brilliant idea.
Yeah, definitely look at your charts for that information. So yeah. Do you want the retrograde dates for Mercury?
Yeah, sure.
So listen, no Venus and no Mars retrograde this year. Celebrate with the dancing ladies. Okay, so the 3 retrograde periods this year, all in air. So again, we have more of this air theme. We're retooling our minds in 2021. January 30th to February 20th in Aquarius. Gosh, May 29th, the day of my birthday. Gee, that's fun. May 29th to June 22nd in Gemini. And then September 27th through October 18th in Libra. So each air sign will get a Mercury retrograde. Again, new ways of thinking, new ways of communicating, new ways of connecting. It's really up for us to do collectively and individually. And then the eclipses, 4 eclipses, a total lunar eclipse on May 26th, that's in Sagittarius. Again, we're working on this mutable energy for most of the year, so this is where the change is happening. Look to eclipse season where maybe rapid changes and shifts happen. June 10th, we have a solar eclipse in Gemini with a Mercury retrograde. November 19th, we're going to get a preview of eclipses on the Taurus and Scorpio axis with a lunar eclipse, a partial lunar eclipse in Taurus. Okay, that North Node is going to move into Taurus in 2022. Eclipses, 2 years goes by in a blink of an eye. And we always get this little an eclipse will sneak in from another sign because of the way the node and the moon and the sun are.
And when was that preview? What day?
November 19th.
November 19th.
Partial lunar eclipse in Taurus. And then the last eclipse of the year, another total solar eclipse in Sagittarius on December 3rd. So hey, only 4 eclipses this year instead of 5. So those are some of the big, broad brushstrokes. Since we're ending this podcast and we won't be transmitting, but I have a new podcast adventure going on.
Yeah, talk about it.
Folks, if you love the way I do astrology, it won't be the same at all because it'll be a different way we're doing it in a different environment, but it's going to be very cool. It's on the Holistic Spaces podcast, which is a Feng Shui podcast with Mindful Design, Angie Cho and Laura Morris.
And I love it.
A monthly podcast at the beginning of each month. And it'll be shorter than our episodes here. It'll be more broad brushstrokes. So sign up for my newsletter if you want more aspect activity emails. And we're going to connect, they're going to bring the Feng Shui in, and I'm going to bring in the astrology. So it's a whole new adventure.
Super cool.
And I feel really grateful that another opportunity came because I know that a lot of people love the podcast. And, this has been such a fun ride and such an amazing opportunity. But, all things have to change as we talked about, right? That's the whole point of this bridge we're crossing 2020 to 2021 is really stepping into change. Right?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So.
Well, that's awesome. I'm so looking forward to that. So that would be to find you we can find you at anywhere, KristinaWingeier.com, but that particular podcast will be at holisticspaces.com. Is that right?
Exactly. Yeah. I know they're on what do you call that thing? iTunes. I think they're probably on all the podcast thing. But yeah, it's called Holistic Spaces.
Awesome.
HOLISTIC, Holistic Spaces. Yeah, it'll be fun. I'm looking forward because I get to learn about Feng Shui.
That's so cool. That's a fun fit. That's so awesome. And Angie's great.
So yeah, looking forward to that. And come check it out and see if you like it. Otherwise, what's on the? Tell me about LOTUSWEI. What kind of changes you're giving up? The podcast is over. So what changes are you looking forward to as you let go of what you've been doing pretty steadily for a while?
Yeah, I could probably share more details later because I'm in such a hibernation mode. But the one thing I'm real sure on is that the podcast, if it does reemerge, it will be solely focused around flower essences and flowers. We're releasing an education program in 2021. We just want to teach as many people as possible about the magic of flowers. And so we have shot and edited about 4 hours of digital content, and we have about 4 more to go. Wow. Plus. So they'll just be general education that anybody can dive into. And then we'll create a whole new version with CEUs for practitioners, whether it's chiropractors, massage therapists, doctors, folks who need continuing education units and who can weave flower essences into what they do. So for us, it's been this, really trying to dive deep into what we offer into the world, or really, really root into how we offer value. I spent so many years just like so excited to promote other people and interviewing other people. And I've learned so much and done so many cool collaborations and created a lot of awesome community. And now it just feels like really getting into like the meat of what it is that we offer and finding new ways to express that. So that'll be fun.
That's awesome. And that's like new science right there. If you're working with healthcare providers, right, to integrate flower essence into their technologies and practices, this is Aquarian age science, right?
Yeah.
So it doesn't have to look one way. It looks a lot of different ways.
It doesn't have to just be like what is like AI cameras following our every movement. It can
I
be.
definitely think there'll be a lot more AI and VR beyond our wildest imaginations.
Oh,
But
I just saw it yesterday. It was like, oh wow. Well, but of course, was it's like a little snippet of a video that's grabbed from your phone camera because it's just kind of like on all the time. And just like it
you.
tracking, just like it identifies your face, it can identify objects. So I saw this video footage of like, how they get this little square on the image, and there's like, multiple squares of this woman's kitchen, and it's like identifying all the objects in her kitchen. Really, really interesting. So, I mean, that's one version of technology, but I like what you're saying in terms of new medicine, right? Energy, how energy moves in the body, how to use nature and some stuff like flower essences and homeopathy and TCM and modalities to adjust the energies in your body. I mean, there could be some really wonderful things on the horizon.
100%. Yeah, I mean, Aquarius it's air. It's not things. I mean, and that Aquarius, Taurus is earth and Aquarius is air. So again, it's like the more etheric and ephemeral and energetic things that affect the body, right? That's right there.
Ooh.
Also, I mean, there's so many ways that you can kind of think about and break it apart. That's why you can never stop talking about astrology, because it's just so many ways you can go with it, right? You'll never stop learning if you're an astrologer or a student. Like, don't even try. Just get on the astrology bus and enjoy the ride. It's wild. But yeah, it's many ways to think about this, and it's going to be really important not to get fixed and stuck into thinking only one way, that it means this then, because that's what I think about when I think of science and technology.
Right.
Break out of our own boxes, right?
Right.
Able to vision into something new and, again, innovate. Aquarius is so much about futuristic, innovative.
And also humanity, right? Benefiting humanity.
100%. If I didn't say that, I don't know why I did. Absolutely. It's a very humanitarian energy, sometimes in a cold way, because what's good for the whole is not always good for the individual. And that is a truth that we are working with all to our own, like in our own ways, but like that's a struggle. But yes, collective for sure.
And then just out of curiosity, what would you say is your like number one, like personal takeaway from year 2020?
Oh my God. I think that I really got clear on what I value, like what parts of my life are valuable, who in my life is valuable. I made really good friendships this year that I wouldn't have expected to, but because of technology. So there's a lot of high value. I would say learning how to, again, like whatever that record was that I said, like that sorrow and joy thing of being able to laugh and find pleasure and feel good even while there's a lot of pain and suffering going on and hard things happening. So like that, like the sky is falling, but yeah, I can still, I don't know, crack a silly joke or have a beautiful moment with someone. And it's so important to do that too. I understand my work more, like what I'm here to do and what I want to do and what I don't want to do. Again, what I value in myself and what I think I can offer people. How about you?
And that last one for sure, like big time. And also what you said about what we truly value in life, what I truly value. It just sort of like this year stripped everything away and distilled everything down into what was the most important things. And And also the importance of connecting with your own sense of inner freedom and your own sense of inner wisdom and being able to distinguish between what external forces are saying, what social media is saying, what the news is saying, what the whatever, and just tune in with your own self and the earth and the energies around you, and just to say, like, what's true for me, what feels right for me, and to cherish and value that, right? Because I think we outsource so much of how we see the world. And so, just having a sense of stability of meditation practice, even, or of just like being out in nature and feeling like this is me. I feel freedom on the inside. I feel safe. I don't not being able to be so manipulated by external forces has been a huge.
What you just said, something about outsourcing. What did you say? You said it was an interesting way of phrasing, like, but again, it was like that, like looking outside to be told how to be
A
told.
reality.
Yeah, but you said outsourcing something. It was. I wish I had. Anyway, it was an interesting phrase, and I like it resonated with me. Yeah, yeah. Resource, right? What new kinds of resourcing, self-sourcing, local. In a different way. I'm grateful. God, I'm grateful for the ocean. I'm telling you. So, nature
That
heals.
you are.
Nature heals. That's one of my biggest gratitude this year for me personally, is my access to the ocean and the trail, and just to be able to get out there and be connected to the vaster cosmic and wild natural influences.
And even that got ripped up for you, right? With the fires?
Well, there was a freaking wildfire that started a mile from my house and burned up the hillside, but it didn't. Yeah, I mean, there were a lot of fires this year. We had a little bit of air quality issues for a while, but yeah, that was hard. Literally, like the day Mars went retrograde, it was like you look outside and it looked like Armageddon. There was just smoke and it was red and you couldn't, it was like, holy moly, what is going on? This Mars retrograde, everything's burning up. It was intense. I am so grateful that we didn't lose our home, like we didn't lose where we lived. And actually, the fire that was near us didn't get any structures. It just burnt a lot of land. So a lot of animals lost their homes, I'm sure. But I was very grateful that firefighters, bodhisattvas, I'm telling you, that was me. I'm like, firefighters are bodhisattvas. They're just so brave, and really, what an amazing thing to do to protect people from fire. Fire's scary. Yeah. Yep.
Okay, so if any of you want to share your learnings with us, feel free to reach out either on social media or in email. What did you learn from the year 2020? What's like your top takeaway? And what are you bringing into this new year? You know what I was thinking we should do, Kristina? How should we do this? I was going to talk to you about this before we started recording, and I forgot.
That's okay. We've been talking here for almost, an hour and 45. This has been a long podcast.
If any of you made it this long, is there any kind of giveaway that we could do? Is there something we could give away of yours and of ours?
I don't know. What do you want to give away? Woo! What do you want to give away?
Oh, I could give away anything. What could you give away?
I could give away a membership in Moon Club at the Starlight tier and a 30-minute consult.
Wow. Super
So
generous.
it'll be a 1 month membership. You have to sign on up again if you wanted to stay. And then a little consult, a little 30-minute consult with me.
Oh my God, that's amazingly
I'm actually
generous.
not really working one-on-one in the same way next year, so it's very valuable. It's not going to be as easy to. Anyway, I'm changing the way I work, so yeah, I could do that. Do that. Why not?
And then whoever wins will send you a pile of flower essences that correspond with your astrology based on your 30-minute with Kristina, or whatever you want or need. How about we do that? That sounds good.
Yeah.
So go over to our blog post on the lotuswei.com site and check out, what to do in order to enter, because this is all just happening by the seat.
Yes, we are being very mutable right now. This is so Gemini. We're getting ready for that eclipse because we're recording it pre-eclipse. So we're just like, okay.
Let's just try it.
Try it. Yeah, and the reading will be in January. My calendar's closed for the rest of the year, but we'll do it in January. So
That's awesome. Love it. Thank you for being
you
so
can,
generous.
you'll have some kind of end date for it, and we'll know who wins, and you can send me your info, and I can tell Katie what your sun and rising and moon are, and that can help design your package.
Ooh, I love it. Okay. Well, thank you so much, Kristina, for all of your time and effort over the years of showing up every month to help us out with the astrology and record these long sessions. Thank you so much. I'm just like amazed that you hung in there for so long and offered so much of your time and energy and resources, and so generous. Thank you from on behalf of me and all of the listeners at the Flower Lounge podcast, because I know that you have so many fans and there are so many people that love Moonshine. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Katie. It's really been such an honor. Really, thank you so much. It's been such a cool journey, and I loved it. I loved every minute of it, and it is sad to let things go, but it's time, and on to the new. So
yeah, and everybody should hop over to Holistic Spaces with Angie Cho and Lauren, and then for the new feng shui astrology.
Oh, that's gonna be interesting. Who knows, right? I don't even know. It's gonna be fun.
It'll be fun.
I haven't recorded one yet, so
that'll be really fun.
It'll be really fun. Yeah, I'm excited. Thank you, everyone, for listening. I know a lot of you have been listening for a long time, and that's really appreciated. There's a lot of people talking in the world, and to have a sustained listenership for, years, which I know some of you have.
Thousands of people. Yeah.
Quite an honor. Really, I don't take it lightly. It's really grateful for your support and for your listening, and any help that anything we've said has helped you in any way. That makes me really happy. So.
Yeah. Ditto. Thank you so much to the listeners. Thank you. I know there are thousands of you, and it's such an honor, and it's such a beautiful project that we worked on. Yeah. Thank you.
Oh, cool. We have a giveaway. See who wins.
See who wins, and then we'll charge off into 2021.
2021. Here's to that. See what's next.
And if you didn't take notes, head over to the blog post, and we'll have all the details and everything written down there for you to cut and paste and plug into your new calendars.
Beautiful.
All right. Thank you so much. Thank you, Kristina.
Thanks, Katie. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you so much for listening to The Flower Lounge. I'm Katie Hess, and we'll be releasing a new podcast every Wednesday. If you like what you heard, or you know someone who might be touched by our conversation, share it with them. And don't forget to subscribe. To find out what your favorite flowers mean about you, take the quiz at LOTUSWEI.com.